It's the Morning Cruise. Dave, Bill, and Carmen at the Joy FM sitting with Pastor Louie Giglio today.
Yes, and we're spending some time with Louie talking about don't give the enemy a seat at your table. And we're going to pick up today with chapter 3. We're kind of breaking it up by chapters. And Louie, I remember hearing you preach a sermon one time, I feel like, about this story, with it being Shelley's birthday dinner. Someone comes up and sits down. So I don't know if it was in the same context as this text, but I do remember the story was very familiar to me when I read it in the book, number one. And then the second thing that I think is so funny, as women, the first thing that I thought about was, oh my goodness, I wonder who it was. I wonder if he's read this book. I wonder if how he feels about the fact that Louie told this story. And then you turn the corner and you lift up what we really need to be focusing on, and it's the velocity. And so talk about how quickly, even though I would be very curious, did the guy ever reach out to you and just out of curiosity?
He might need to retell the story now.
If you're listening today, I want to underscore again, it was the nicest guy
Ever.
And we had some conversation, actually, to be really transparent because of that tension.
Sure.
Should we put this story in the book?
Yeah.
Can we make sure that we're not making it look like this guy was,
right,
insensitive? He was the nicest person.
Any of us would have done it,
and
honestly.
it was just one of those moments. In fact, the funny thing happened. Shelley and I were at dinner the other night, and there was a couple sitting at the table next to us who were both reading the book together.
They're like, we're not going over there.
And we didn't know them, and they didn't know us. And so, but eventually we got ready to go, and someone said, hey, someone's taking care of your check. And we were like, okay, that's amazing. And it was a lot of people at this restaurant, and the guy kind of nods his head like, those people over there, and it was the people. So we got up and left, and I walked over and I said, thank you for your generosity. So nice to meet you. Met both of them. Like, we are reading your book together right now, and the last thing we were going to do was come over to your table and say hello. So, oh my goodness, that's not what we were going for.
No.
What we were going for, Carmen, was that in a heartbeat, a thought can get planted.
That's right.
In a heartbeat, an opinion can emerge. And just in a second, the enemy can go through the tiniest crack or crevice, and he can lodge into our thinking something that is completely antithetical to the heart and the character and the will and the word of God. Imagine Adam and Eve in paradise, and then bam. Well, God, did he really say? And immediately that doubt was at the table. And Eve didn't know how to get the doubt away from the table. And so the enemy stayed at her table long enough until that doubt turned into sin. And we're all in the domino effect of that decision. So you got to be careful, because it doesn't take but a nanosecond for the enemy to be right in the middle of our thoughts.
It's so true. And we're going to talk about chapter 4 coming up, but I love how you even went through the book and said, if you're thinking this or if this is happening, I can tell you the enemy has a seat at your table. We'll talk about it coming up in just a couple of minutes with Louie Giglio.